So which players are you paying up for at the following price ranges on tonight's 9-game slate? Let's start at your favorite forward at 7K plus. Who you going with, Pete?
I'm riding the hot hand with Timo Meier after his 5-goal game the other day on 6 shots. This guy, even prior to that outburst, not many people probably know besides us that he is second in the NHL in even strength points behind Alex Ovechkin for the season at large. So we're talking about already one of the full-fledged breakout players in the entire league, kind of padding his totals for the season with that 5-goal game. He gets the Seattle Kraken, which obviously is a very favorable opponent, among the worst teams in the league in goals allowed per game. So I'm rolling with Meier. If you want to get even more engaged here, maybe stack him with his line mate Tomas Hertl, who had 4 assists in that game.
All right, 7K plus range. AJ, where are you going?
Well, this will surprise nobody, but I'm going to go with Jake Guentzel tonight of the Penguins. Look, a lot of the top guys at forward have tough matchups tonight, or in the case of Colorado, they're coming into this game on the second of a back-to-back. So, Ovi is going up against Boston. McDavid goes up against the Panthers. So I'm going to go further down the board and go with Jake Guentzel. Like I said, 7,400. He's already hit the 20-goal mark this season in just 32 games. Should be a guy that pushes for 40 this year. He's on that top power play unit. He's on the ice with Sidney Crosby at even strength as well. And the matchup with Ottawa is just too good to pass up tonight when you don't have to pay up quite as much as the rest of this forward group here.
Paul, where are you going for this pick?
I had 3 names on my list, and the guys have covered 2 of them. I love the Jake Guentzel call, and I expected the homer to pick him. So I'll just add the fact that he's got 10 goals and 8 helpers in his last 10 games played. Gets the Senators a soft touch, so great matchup for Guentzel there, $7,400. Timo Meier, again, Pete covered that off. 8 goals, 8 assists, 10 games, 35 shots on goal, emerging as the top gun in San Jose. But the guys have left me to talk about Alexander Barkov for $7,200. He's at Edmonton, and they're a tire fire right now. 11 points, 33 shots, and 14 blocks even. His size and skill. This guy has got a mean streak, and it makes him hard to play against on any night. And tonight should be no exception with the reeling Oilers, his next victims.
AJ, who's your favorite D-man above 6K?
Look, Paul can call me a homer all he wants, but when the strategy is sound, it makes sense. So I'm going to stick with Chris Letang tonight. He's got the most points among all defensemen in the month of January. Again, top power play, easy matchup. If you're looking for maybe somebody else other than the Pens, if you're not with me on them winning this one, Alex Pietrangelo might have the best matchup on the slate going up against Montreal. But still, with the way Tanger's producing right now, I think you have to at least give him a look despite that 6K or 7K price tag.
Paul, where are you going for a D-man above 6K?
I love to kid my co-host, but he's right on the money here. And Chris Letang is first on my list, too. He's on a tear with 15 points in his last 10 games, along with 37 shots. And you can't discount the fact that he's got 19 blocks because they factor into DK scoring. He's averaging 18 points per game on the DK list. And up next behind him, I like Alex Pietrangelo at $6,900. He's another experienced defenseman who's playing a ton of minutes, averaging 27 in his last 10 games played, and gets a favorable matchup at home against Montreal. And third pick, Aaron Ekblad at Edmonton. His team scores a ton of goals, and he's got another great chance to pad those numbers. He's a big minute guy, averaging over 24 minutes per game, collecting 11 points, 25 shots on goal, and 16 blocks in his last 10 games. Finally, Miro Heiskanen, $6,200 at Buffalo, big part of the Dallas attack and power play. He only has 6 points in his last 10 games, but I expect him to have every chance to be in high leverage minutes against a pretty ordinary club on the other side of the ice.
All right, Pete, where are you going? Favorite team man above 6K?
Paul mentioned my guy. It's Aaron Ekblad. I'm just going to jump all over. I think they had Florida. They had their blip on the radar when they lost that surprising game to Calgary the other day. I think they're going to take it to the Oilers. I do not know if the Oilers have what it takes to hang around in a game like this with how things are going south for that team. So I'm rolling Ekblad. If you want to go a little cheaper, like I said on the previous show, go Mackenzie Weegar. But Ekblad for $6,300, top 5 among defensemen this year in goals with 10, in points with nearly a point per game, and also second behind Roman Josi in shots on goal at the position. So he's a lineup lock for me, at least in my mock lineup.
All right, looking for some value at forward. Where are you looking for it tonight, Paul?
You know what? At $6,900, Jonathan Huberto is a value pick for me. He's got 20 points in his last 10 games played. That's ridiculous. 31 shots on goal and even 7 blocks, an average of almost 20 DraftKings points per game. So I think he's a must to put in there. But in terms of the cheaper guys that I want to look at, Alex Tuch for the Buffalo Sabres. He started off very well with his new club, 7 points in 7 games, quickly establishing himself as a cornerstone in the rebuilding Buffalo situation, facing a Dallas team tonight that's leaking oil. They've given up 15 goals in their last 3 games. Anze Kopitar, $4,800, one of the league's best two-way centers, and having his best offensive run in his last 4 years. Another guy I'm looking at. If Colorado decides to play run and gun, this guy will be a counterpunching all the way to the bank, I think. And finally, Chandler Stevenson, a guy I'm beating the drum for this guy all season long. Very impressed with the Knights' top center, who's lit it up to almost a point per game pace, despite the fact he hasn't played with his regular high-end wingers much of the season. He gets Mark Stone tonight on his right side and a streaking Evgeny Dadonov, who has 6 points in his last 6 games on the left.
All right, Pete, we need some value at forward.
I'll go with the storyline here because I love the way Cam Atkinson is playing lately for the Philadelphia Flyers. 15 points in his past 14 games, playing on the top line with Claude Giroux. Even if it's garbage points because the Flyers are dropping games left and right, I don't particularly care because he's been extremely productive and he's facing his former team. I mentioned the narrative. First game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. He had a lot of good memories with that team. I think he's going to try to stick it to his former guys for sure. I think he's likely to score a goal in this matchup, especially with how leaky Columbus has been at different points in recent weeks, giving up a 9 spot the other day. I mean, they give up a lot of goals. So I think Cam Atkinson will be a great value pick. And then along the lines of what Paul said about value center, Kopitar is a great one, but you can go even cheaper with Philip Deneau and how good he's been. 8 points in his past 8 games for the Kings. He'll be matched up against either Kadri or McKinnon, but I think he could do a touch of scoring as well because the Avs give up a lot of high danger chances.
AJ, where's the value at forward tonight?
I'm kind of with Paul on this one, that I think you can find some value out of Buffalo in a matchup that should be okay for them. They're playing at home. And so in addition to Tuch, Thompson comes in at 5,300 at the center position, so you can get more of that top line share. I also like San Jose in this one with the matchup against Seattle. And Logan Couture makes a lot of sense to me as well when he comes in under 5K. He's 4,900. Yes, he's on a 3-game pointless streak, but he remains in the top 6 role for them. Number 1 power play. He's not on that first line that Pete highlighted, but he will get minutes with those guys with the man advantage here. So under 5K, I like Logan Couture as well.